Hello everybody. Today we're going to check out a small cemetery located in Rockford, Illinois. This is called Marsh Cemetery, and it started off as a small family cemetery, but the weird thing is that this is right alongside a very busy road. Now I'll tell you just a little bit about this cemetery and some of the people that are buried here. Now I should first start off by saying that this is a pretty old cemetery. I'll give you guys a little bit of information on it, but as you guys can see, some of this place is in a little bit of disrepair, which is kind of to be expected for these small cemeteries that don't get a lot of upkeep. But I'll tell you a little bit more about this place. Now, this place is called Marsh Cemetery, and it is in a town called Rockford, Illinois. Well, I should say a city because it's one of the biggest cities in Illinois. But this place was established in 1856 and is home to some of the earliest settlers in the Rockford, Illinois area. Now, it's located on the former property of the Marsh family, dating back to the 1800s, where many of the Marshes are laid to rest. But there are a lot of really old stones here, but there are also a lot of Civil War soldiers here and people with some pretty interesting stories, and that's what we're going to do today. Now, before we get too far into this tour, I wanted to remind you guys, if you visit these cemeteries, please be respectful. A lot of these places are not very well kept up and people don't really take care of these places. So please do your part and also be respectful when visiting. Try not to step on any graves directly. I take long steps as to avoid doing so. But, show the utmost respect when visiting these places because it is the final resting places. Now, the first person we're going to go and visit, his name was James Convers. He was a captain of Company G of the 6th Wisconsin Infantry in the Civil War. He was killed in the Battle of the Wilderness in Virginia in 1864. So a very historic battle in the Civil War, which are kind of the interesting people to visit because a lot of people visiting these places look at the stones, especially newer, and they wouldn't have any idea of the history of these people. But right over here, and this one actually is labeled, James L. Convers, killed in the Battle of the Wilderness, May 5th, 1864, aged 44 years, 7 months, 22 days, excuse me. But this is the Convers family right here. It's always interesting to see what you can find out about some of these people because everybody has a story, and in older cemeteries like this, they're pretty interesting stories. Now, as I said, this place was a Marsh family cemetery. Here is a Marsh. There is a Marsh over there, and there's actually a tipped over gravestone, which I really hate to see. You know, sometimes cemeteries like this, vandals break in. Sometimes it's just the weather. It is very harsh winters here, so you just never know what caused things like this. But let's go over to the next person that I wanted to tell you about. So this guy's name was Charlie Barros. Now, he built and operated the first ferry on the Rock River locally here, and he enlisted in Company G, the 45th Illinois Infantry under General Smith, and he participated in attacks on Forts Henry and Donelson. He was also present at the siege and capture of Vicksburg, Big Platte, and Jacksonville, and served until the end of the Civil War. He returned to Rockford and lived a long life as a successful businessman, and he passed away in 1911. Now, it tells right here that he was a veteran of the Civil War. A lot of times they have other little plaques, kind of like what is on this one. Joseph Hayes, 1831 to 1911, Company G, 45th Illinois. So this was also a Civil War soldier. But a lot of these guys have plaques like this. 61 to 65, 1861 to 1865. So this is a Civil War marker, which Charlie doesn't have, but he rightfully should. But small cemeteries like this are very interesting because these people have stories, and sometimes you find people that were present in really important times in American history. And that's why visiting cemeteries is so interesting, and we really need to keep these people's lives remembered. Now here's one other one. This is Benjamin Garrett. He was born in 1835 in Lake County, Ohio, and he enlisted in Company B of the 146th Illinois Infantry for the Civil War, and he served until the end of the war. He returned back to Illinois after the war and became a carpenter, and he eventually bought a farm. He was a very well-respected man in the community by all accounts, and became the assessor and the justice of the peace. He passed away after a long illness in 1900. So it'd be April 3rd, 1900. And his wife Esther is here, Esther A. Garrett, July 28th, 1839 to August 12th, 1920. The Garrett family plot. Now this is an interesting one here, although I couldn't find any information on this one. John Benjamin and his wife Esther. John passed away at the age of 65 on November 22nd, 1858, and his wife Esther passed away at the age of 58, June 5th, 1856. So both of them would have been born in the 1700s. And obviously this stone has not been around since the late 1700s, and this cemetery has only been in existence since 1856. When this cemetery was built, this was on family land, and the way that things are right now, this is right off of a main artery here in Rockford, Illinois, and it's a very, very busy and loud area. If you guys can't tell, I do have a microphone on me that has a windscreen, so maybe it's blocking some of that noise out. But this is a very, very busy road, and there's always cars going by. So people that are laid to rest here, I can't imagine that they're really resting that peacefully. But in between stoplights, this road gets very, very busy. And there are homes on each side of this, and the fences on both sides of this cemetery are kind of falling apart. Horatio G. Nichols, 1833 to 1865, and his wife Julia Whitwood, 1836 to 1919, and Horace H. Nichols, 1860 to 1919. And it looks like a lot of these are newer, and some of the older markers, like these are just labeled father. Let's get you guys so you can see it, father and mother. So back when they buried these people, they probably didn't have a whole lot of information and a lot to, there probably weren't that many people here either, so people knew where their relatives were located at. But it seems like they didn't have a real good system for marking who was where. Now here's an example of some of the damage that's been done to this cemetery. And I'm not sure if this was due to vandals or if this is just kind of weathered. But as you guys can see, part of the fence right here, or part of the fence that was here, is now in the woods. But that is kind of the trend around this cemetery. But it is a very small cemetery, and I can imagine that when this place was first founded, in 1856, that there weren't too many people here, and it seems like about half the people here are named Marsh, but this entire land around here, there's some pretty ritzy houses around here now, but as you can see, the fence is gone right here. But there are a lot of houses around here, but all of this would have been farmland back then, owned by the Marsh family. Be careful there so you don't have a Big Daddy moment tripping on a stick. But today the goal was just to show you guys a kind of a lesser known cemetery here in the Rockford, Illinois area. This place, I used to drive by here as a kid when I was in the area, and I always wanted to come and check it out, but for some reason I never did because it's off such a busy road. There is no parking, and I didn't really know how to get in here. But today I was back and I just thought, today we're gonna go check it out, and I'm gonna bring you guys with me. So hopefully you enjoyed this small and short tour of an interesting cemetery here. If you guys like this, let me know, and I will do more of these. If you don't like it, let me know that too. But it's interesting to dig up the past and the history of everything. And I really am a sucker for some of these old gravestones right here. Unfortunately, this one is broken. And hopefully at some point they're able to fix these or replace it properly. This is Samuel B. Hayes. Hopefully you guys can see that. But this cemetery by far is not in the worst shape of any cemetery I've seen. The grass is still cut. It does appear to still be taken care of, but I can't imagine that they have much of a budget. It's probably taken care of by an ancestor of the family, if I had to guess. But that's pretty much all I have for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care.